Salama. Gino Lago Ni Bandele, Chief Noble Bandele El Amin. Once again, we're here for, I'm going to do a quick video. Just wanted to get some things going for the new year, or the so-called new year. We know it's a new fiscal year for certain companies and whatnot, but what I wanted to do and talk about is really current events going on right now. You know, right now it's the Noble Bandele El Amin's birthday just passing on the 8th of January, and this is basically Moorish American week. So I wanted to give honors and big ups to all the Moors that are out there, and all the brothers and sisters out there that are doing work, putting in work, who's been putting in work for a long time, and you know, continue to put out and do work, good work for the community. So we give thanks to all of y'all, you know, all of us who are out here doing what we need to do. So honors, you know, and something else that's been going on in the news is the passing of the former Prime Minister of Israel, which is Ariel Sharon. You know, if anybody knows the history on him and whatnot, he was Prime Minister. He had a stroke and about 8 years ago, and he's now, you know, he was in a coma, and then recently his organs started to deteriorate and whatnot. He died just this past couple of days ago. But you know, why am I mentioning him? I knew something about him just in passing. I knew that he was the Prime Minister, and he also was trying to get the land. He was going to take and come and pull out the territories back from occupation that Israel had. And he actually had a speech where he said something about that we can no longer occupy Palestinians. You know, that he was making a mention that he sees that at this time, that through all the time that he's seen, he know now that it was time for him to change his ways or whatever it was he was trying to do. But politically, he was making a change, and then he had a stroke. And then he wound up being in a coma, and now recently passing. And so that was 8 years ago, all this been happening, that he had that happen. But now that the news is saying something about him, they giving you his history. He got a biography, and looking at his biography, I began to get a better understanding, and then I began to connect this to the Moorish legacy. You know, I began to understand it from the Moorish side, and what I'm saying is that this guy was born of Russian parents, and they migrated to Israel in that area, or what was called Palestine, in 1928. Now, that was interesting because 1928 is also the year that Noble Bandele El Amin set up the temples under Moorish Science Temple of America, you know. But nonetheless, I'm not going into that. But so his parents born of Russians, which right there, the Ashkenaz, we're talking about some Ashkenaz Jews coming out of Russia, like where they come from, okay, going to live in Tel Aviv and become a farmer. They were a farmer family. Okay, so now what's crazy is that he being born, he was born in Israel. So he's important because he's born there even before it was called Israel. He's born in Palestine. Okay, he is one of the pinnacle people in the Jewish wars. Like all the Jewish wars, he fought in them. He was like high-ranking official. You know, you know, the war with Egypt, he was there for that. He was there from the beginning of this new so-called Israel state. You know what I'm saying? He was there from the beginning. And so what they kept saying and referring to him was saying that he's like the forefather of Israel. So he was a big deal for the Israel. Now, how does this relate to Moors or whatnot? Well, I mean, you look at Israel, you look at that land, Palestine. That land was originally Canaan. It was Canaanite. It was Canaanite, and not far from that was Moabites, and you had all the different ites, and we know that. So we know that that land was present, before the Jews ever came in there. Not to mention, it was just something that was on the mind, thinking on what was going on with current events. That just happened, and it happened in the Moorish American week. And that land originally was our land. That land was of African people. You know what I'm saying? That originated back in the time of Canaan, and the time when Canaan and Kemit were like in a sistership, or they had a very good relationship with each other. So, it's like, okay, I see what's going on. Those are some of the things that was on the plate this week. But as far as right here in Moorish New Kemit, what we right now is studying self. And so, we want everybody to understand that it's a lot of information, knowledge that has to be understood, and there's a lot that being a Moor really is, and it's not just about studying a certain thing. You know what I'm saying? It's not really just one thing that you got to study. Some of the books that we look at and what we studying here, I'm gonna show you some of them. Maybe you check them out. We got the one book here. This is the Moors of Spain. You know what I'm saying? This is by Stanley Lane Poole. You know what I'm saying? That's Stanley Lane Poole. Good book. Talks about the Moors in Spain right after the fall in 1492. So it's good information on that. Book that we study on, the Meduna Ter. The Meduna Ter. The Meduna Ter talks about the tree of life. And it's more of an African Kemetic tree, based on African Kemetic philosophy or understanding. So that's important to understand the tree of life. When we begin to understand the tree of life, we understand how each group had the tree in their sciences. And when we realize what the tree looks like despite its name, then we can see the tree in other things. And that's one thing that when we're dealing with the Meduna Ter, it opened my eyes up to the Circle 7 Quran, which every Moor should have. Circle 7 Quran. I have it with me on hand, but I have it in the. This is another book, and the Exhuming of a Nation. That book, it has the Circle 7 and all that in the back of that book. So, but when you read the Circle 7, you begin to understand the tree of life. And so the Meduna Ter can be very important in understanding the tree of life. So, other books that we look at, we got up in here, this right here. The Mysteries of Mithra. Mithra, okay. The Mysteries of Mithra. Let me see if it's got everything on there. It's by France Kumans. The Mysteries of Mithra. All I can say is that when you understand Jesus, you understand Mithra. When you understand the symbology of the December 25th being the birth of the sun, S-U-N, and Mithra being the sun, and then Jesus coming along and being the sun, then you'll understand the mysteries of Mithra. Okay. Great book. So I got this book, Ancient and Modern Britons. This is part volume 1, so you know what I'm saying, I got volume 2 somewhere, but this right here is by David Mack Ritchie. David Mack Ritchie. Got me? Alright. That right there explaining how Moors, and he talks about Moors, the terminology, or is definitely in here about Moors. There's one part where he says something crazy. Now it says right here, I'm just gonna read I'm gonna just read real quick. I'm not gonna go into it. You can do whatever. And I gotta try to pronounce these words. But this is what I highlighted. It was the he's talking about sketches are presentment of what in all conscious is a savage people. Now, I guess he's talking about in Britain, where modern day Britain was thousands of years ago. These people would have been called or looked at as savage people. He says the Maida or marsh folk against the Severus fault. Now Severus was the Romans, so he's talking about back then. And then he's saying were Caledoni, nicknamed Picti, known as Moors, or black men of the race of Damani, who had curly hair and swarthy skin. Okay, now he's just going into market. So this right here, I mean, it's a good book. This is something that we study on. We study here, studying Kiswahili. Why? Because as a nation here, we have our language is Kiswahili. Kiswahili, it links back with our consciousness from our Pan-African consciousness. As a Pan-Africanist, RBG Moor, I'm a, understanding nationality from that aspect, but also understanding that, you know, we need a language. And one of our languages we picked would to be Kiswahili because it does relate to things, you know, relation to, you know, more African-based, African-centered thought and indigenous thought. Kiswahili seems to be a very good language to learn as a Moor here in New Kemit. So we do study that. So when I'm talking and I'm saying Gina Lagu Nani, that's me saying my name is Chief Noble Bandele El Amin. You know, and so we try to incorporate our own language as well. You know, being industrious people, as Noble Bandele said. So that's one of the things we look at. Looking at, you know, we got the book, the Hosea. The Hosea. You ain't got the Hosea, The Sacred Wisdom of Ancient Kemit, Egypt, by Malana Karinga. You know, a lot of people hate on Malana, but everybody get hate on, I guess. But he's got some, you know, good books of ancient Kemetic science. You know, understanding that the Moors were custodians of that Kemetic science. So all we're doing is picking up where we left off, you know, a few hundred years ago, you know, when we were on science. So we getting back to that, getting back to our ancestors, which come out of ancient Kemit and Nubia and Kush and Canaan and Libya and Morocco and Nigeria area, all these areas, from all the areas, that's us. You know, we have that understanding. You know what I'm saying? We coming from the same shift of thought or diaspora, or we coming from that same paradigm shift that was going on. You know what I'm saying? So understanding that. Another book we got right here that's a good book is The African Origins of Freemasonry. You know, true history of Freemasonry in Africa and its resurrecting among Africans in the diaspora. Good book. I mean, you talk about the history of Noble Bandele in there, you know. You know, understanding that, you know, my understanding of Noble Ali is that, you know, being a prophet is one who is a spokesperson for something and speaks for the urgency of something. You know, and it can be one who speaks the word of God. You know, I do understand that. So we do look at Noble Ali as a prophet. But Noble Ali, we understand that Noble Ali, a lot of his sciences he took and extracted from different sources to come up with the Moorish science. Moorish science is like, it's a science of the study of our dark consciousness, our DNA, our melanin. It's the study of self. You know what I'm saying? It's the study of our inner conscious. That's the study. That's more science. More science is really about the study of inner self. Okay? Noble Ali would say, you know, study thyself, and then once again study thyself again, and then after that study yourself some more. So the truth of it is that it's the study of self and reflection of self, which you get study and reflection of self through various things, various ways. Meditation, you have to meditate. You have to meditate to still oneself. The sciences all come out of Egypt. Noble Ali said he was an Egyptian adept. So, I mean, he's studying in Kemit under Islamic rule, but he's studying under, in there, understanding that it's coming out of Kemit. So, Kemit has a lot of our information and knowledge still left. And we are trying to decipher that as Moors. I'm not hating or disrespect. You know, there's nobody's religion that has to be involved with being a Moor. You know, being a Moor is really studying thyself. Studying thyself. Okay, that makes you a Moor because you're conscious of yourself. Okay, and to even break down some of the stuff that the Circle 7 and all that break down, you can get that from other sources and come to that conclusion. You know, so to me, the Circle 7 is not a contradiction to the other religious texts. It just really confirms a lot of what the other religious texts are already saying. It was brought as a book of the New Age. It comes out of a New Age paradigm. Noble Ali studied in a time when it was New Age. You know what I'm saying? It was a New Age time. So we know that we know the sciences that he had come from different sources. It could have been from Madame Blavatsky or whoever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it come from various sources that these people that got it, they were the ones that had the ability to go get it. A lot of the European Albions had the ability and the money, the resources, and the skin color to be able to go places and get things that a lot of us weren't able to get. They were able to get that knowledge, and then they started bringing it back. And it was called New Age, but it was all Old Age information that they brought as New Age, because they had been under such an age of a rule of Catholicism for forever, as a rule, as a slave, and then they manifested into other forms of Christianity, and that ruled for a period of time. But the ones who are in the higher sciences, like the founding fathers of America, meaning like George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, and all those were Masons. So they was in the sacred science themselves. Many of them had a different understanding of Christianity. Like, many think that George Washington and the other were just pure Christian, but a lot of what they were practicing would not be considered Christian. A lot of the things he was doing in Masonry was not Christian. You know what I'm saying? But for the sake of, you know, the country and history, who writes the books, he's deemed as a Christian. But the truth of the matter is that Noble Ali and what he did and the sciences that he studied, whether it be Masonry, the Ahmadiyyan, Islam, or, you know what I'm saying, or if it was whatever it was that he was studying, he was able to put together the information and really what he was doing was really profound, even at the time that it was being done. So there's no disrespect to anything that was said in that. It's just that there's so much information that we've come into contact with in the past 80 years that it's time for other things to be implemented as well. So we move forward on that level. So there's no hate or animosity. I'm not beefing or trying to battle anybody or anything. You know, we're not trying to have debates or anything like that against another Moor or anything like that for us to put it together to finally do what we need to do. So on that note,